actual depth of the hill. So say it was a very flat surface, we can fly a slow slope, or we can fly something, say 5 meters in each step. So it goes up in 5 meters, up in 5 meters, up. A number of benches, so we can add how many times we do that. So we go up 1 meter, and of course, if you wanted to purely just not have any steps in like that, just decrease the number of benches, and then increase total bench height. So say we're at 24 meters at the moment, say I wanted to go to 50 meters high in a straight line, then that's what you would do. You can also control your cameras maybe at a funny angle. You can actually determine, type in here, so say it's at 45 degrees for whatever reason, you can factor this in here so you can get the right amount of coverage. So I'm going to change that back to 0 degrees. Unlock camera pitch, so that's just the ability to change that number there. And then this one here won't actually anything, because so this is like the start takeoff height. So how far off the ground or how far above the start point you will begin with. Again, add takeoff, the start, and the end as well. So, and the next trick in here is the follow south home. So say you have, obviously you don't want it to cut a corner to fly back to the next line. So what this does is it controls the path that takes to the next line. So it travels along the already traveled path that has been planned, so it doesn't try and fly up and across, and possibly there'd be a tree in the way, whatever other factors are there as well. So just like the previous screen, you've got all the grid options, the flying speed, the distance from the face, so 20 meters say, side lap and overlap, you can change these again as well, how dense you want it, delay at waypoint just like you saw before, capture corner images, and yeah, so it's really just like the other screen, but purely for vertical face. And yeah, so that's a quick example of the face map. So now that I've showed you all of those, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly we're going to just draw this box around here again. We'll do it the quick way this time, so quick survey grid. That's me, 31 meters, A600, 5 meters, so flight time is 4 minutes apparently, so footprints are good as well. Let's turn off markers so we can sprint. Oh, turn off internals. So it looks good to me. So what I'm going to do is I got spline entries and exits turned off, on, and accept that. So we've just accepted the mission here. It's brought it into the main flight planning screen. If you needed to add any extra points, now you can do it. So our first waypoint at the moment is 20 meters, 30 meters high. Delay that doesn't actually do any equation. We change our speed to 5 meters per second, and then we got spline waypoints into our first point with a set cam trigger distance to 7 meters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly look this to the drone. So that's written now. So as I said before, we've been connected to this drone the entire time. We've uploaded. So what I'm going to do now is we've got all our stats. We're going to arm it. It's now armed, and right click and take off. I'm going to take off to 10 minutes. Now we did, because in a normal situation you would have a transmitter, so you could flick straight into auto and raise the throttle. Because I don't actually have a transmitter, this is all in the simulation, I just armed it and used the right click takeoff command. So we're now in the air at 10 meters, and I'm just this into auto, and it's going to start flying the mission. So it's going to fly to, what is it, 31 meters, and then continue on meters, and then it's going to start the mission and start taking photos. So Mission Planner has the ability, if you have a good telemetry link, to show you the taken. So as you saw there, there was a bit of an early photo, but we've taken a photo already, and as it flies this line, it's just going to keep taking. And there's a stencil on the ground of where it's the photo, the camera lens was pointing at the time. So as you see here, we're flying that photo, and everything should be good. We made it to the end. We've got a photo near the end. It's actually slowing down and stopping, and then it's going to continue on. So like before, when you saw how we had the camera overlap, you can actually do the camera overlap in this screen as well. It's not turned on by default because it actually uses quite a few CPU resource to do that, but I'll turn it on now for this demonstration. And as you can see, so as it flies along, exact same color scheme as before, you can see how the colors are in when you get lots of overlap. So we've obviously got a fair bit of overlap here. We're getting some nice reds. And then out on the edges, we're only getting 1 or 2 photos. So this is a good way to illustrate live. And obviously, you've got to have a good telemetry link here for it to work properly. If you're simulating it, we have a perfect telemetry link, so everything works exactly as you'd expect it to. You can mouse over it, you can have a look at the photo. So we're at 7/8 of degrees roll, we're at 68 meters high when that photo was taken, and yeah, and you can basically mouse over any of them and it'll show you the footprint and the roll and the roll as it was taken and the photo number as it was taken as well. So that's pretty how you would fly create a very simple grid mission and fly it. So one of the other couple of things that we're going to do is, so say you've just done this mission, I'm just going to make this thing RTL, split the mission halfway through. So that's going to basically go land now. So assuming you just got all these photos, so I've disconnected, I'm going to basically download the data flash log. So you download the data flash log. Oh, I can't do it now because I'm in the air. So what I'll do is, so I've actually have a demo here where I can show how you'd use the Geo Reference function in Mission Planner. So what I'm going to disconnect from the simulator, and what we'll do is, so we'll go in the data flash log tab, we've got a Geo Reference Image option. So I'm going to open that, and that will load a screen that looks like this. So we've flown our mission, we've got our photos off the camera, we've got our data flash log and our T-log. What we'll do is we'll browse for this T-log. So here's one I prepared earlier. It's actually from back in February this year. So this is the data flash log. I'm just going to open the data flash log. The actual photos are in this directory as well. So I've put all the photos in this directory. So we've got, what, 50, 60 photos, and the data flash log that goes with it. So I'm going to open the data flash log, and by default, Mission Planner expects the images to be in the data directory. You can browse for pictures and point it to a different direction, but it's automatically looks for it in that directory. So because I know my camera was I'm going to use cam messages. And so what this screen does is it reads the log and will try and read all the information from the photos to try and correlate them and to try and tag those photos. So I'm going to click pre-process here. And what that's going to do, it's going to process all the logs and show us where each photo is. So the path the drone took and the photos on the map. So, so say this one here. So this one here looks like it was close to the road. So I'm going to click it. And sure enough, looks like it's pretty accurate to me. So this one should be on the far side of the road. Again, it is. This one on the other side of the road, it looks good. So this is just to everything is doing what it's meant to be doing. So let's go down here. So let's look. So we're in the middle of this big white sand paddock. So I'm going to click that. that look accurate to me. So it looks like the alignment's done properly. So this is using the cam message method. There are time offset and triage method ways of doing this as well. Cam message is the best way because it gives a one-to-one relationship between the number of photos you took and the number of messages in the ArduPilot log. So if there was any problems in recent Mission Planner versions, that you have the ability to drop images at the start or at the end. Say you had 5 photos you had to delete from the start, you could counteract that here for whatever reason. In this situation, location KML, if you had Google Earth, you can actually load what you see here in Google Earth just to compare that the photos are lined up. But I'm actually pretty happy with that, so I can actually skip this location KML and just go straight to geotag images. So I would click that. I'm not going to click that because I already have them geotagged, but if you would click that, it will go and add these locations to the actual images and create it in a new spot. So if I open this directory that we were just, it created a geotagged folder. I open that, and all of these photos in here are geotagged. So if I look at the properties on the photo, go to details, and down here we've got a latitude, a longitude, and an altitude that the photo was taking at. So using this, you can load this photo like PhotoScan or some other photogrammetry software, and it will automatically pull the lat, long, and altitude from the. If you had wanted to get it into a different program, when you click the Preprocess Location button, Mission also creates all these files here. So these are different formats, all containing the same information, but for different software. So if we open location.txt, you can see an example here of, so that's the file name, the latitude, the longitude, the altitude, the roll pitch, and the yaw, and the sonar altitude that it was taken. So that would be that photo there, is that there. So depending on the software you're using, you can actually import for into different software that maybe can't read the geotags or something else. Or if you didn't want to geotag the photos at all, you could actually just use your for the camera and this file, and you can import everything you needed to. So that would be, I'll just basically that there. So what this does is, let me just quickly, I'll quickly open PhotoScan. So this is the actual, this was processed in low quality very quickly just for this demonstration. So there was 71 photos all aligned, and there's all the, at the end there's an ortho mosaic. So we can see the ortho mosaic, we can see the photo. So now that we have a nice georeferenced orthomosaic image, and so I've already saved this. So this is the processed inside PhotoScan, or Metashape Pro, sorry, used to be called PhotoScan, and nice grid here. So I've saved these already. So here is the so I've exported them from PhotoScan into a format called GeoTIFF. So GeoTIFF has the ability to save the lat long of the entire image. So the reason for saving this is I can now load this into Mission Planner to plan against. I've also saved the DEM from it, so the digital elevation model. So this is basically just a height one. So this is, and this is for height. So I'll just close PhotoScan and I'll just quickly open Global Mapper. So using Global Mapper, I can, so let's look at the DEM. If my computer doesn't seem to like that at the moment. So this takes a little while to load, but this is the digital elevation processing. So the reason I'm telling you about the visual and the DEM So this is the DEM of that photo data. So you can see there's high points. If you look down in the bottom left-hand corner here, you can see the height. So that's 9.17 meters. And over here, we're at 7 meters. Ground level there is about 5 meters. So you can see the area here where the DEM. So you can actually load this DEM, which is saved into the GeoTIFF format, to Mission Planner and use it for planning against. So if you had a site where you needed to go back multiple times, you can actually use your orthomosaic, your image, DEM that you've generated from your previous things, and load it straight into Mission Planner. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to open this folder. So I put this for a reason. So I'm just going to copy and paste this path here. And what we're going to do is we're going to open Mission Planner. So there's my previous path, and I'm just going to close out of this because we've with that. I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to clear my tracks just to clear the screen, just to get rid of some of that stuff. And what we're going to do now, so to use some of these options, they're currently not available in the normal user interface to Mission Planner. So you've got to use the option, there's two. You can go to Config and go to Planner, and right down the bottom there's the testing screen. Or the other option is to press Control F. We'll load this screen here. So in here, there's two buttons that I'm going to show you. There's this DEM button, which stands for Digital Elevation Model. And then there's one called Custom GDAL, which load custom map source from GDAL. So what we're going to do is we're going to load the aerial photo using Custom GDAL. So I'm going to quickly browse to it, demo, and the path that I had before. I'm going to accept that. So that's loaded already. And while I'm also here, I'm going to click DEM. So that will load this screen here. And DEM is a little bit different. It's a lot less integrated. So I'm going to copy my farm.dem. Going to copy that into the OpenDem DEM directory. So I'm just going to paste it into here. That's now copied. So that DEM is 390 megabytes. So it's actually quite a large file. So I'm just going to close that, So now that I've done that, I'm going to have to restart Mission Planner to let them load properly. So I'm just going to close Mission Planner and then load it back up again. So because I know where those points actually are, I'm going to zoom out and where those photos were actually taken. Okay, so as you see at the moment, it's the original photo, just a Google Earth photo. And if you actually look, you've got our lat, long, and altitude. So our altitude is currently SRTM. So as I move my mouse around, you can see it's SRTM. But if it's loaded already, which I move over here, you can now see that it says GeoTIFF. So when we did move that GeoTIFF into that DEM directory, it actually loads a DEM. So as I move my mouse out across the edge, it switches back to SRTM and back to GeoTIFF as I move it around. So as I actually look here, depending on how accurate it is, jump from 7 meters just there down to 5 meters just there, which is actually pretty accurate. So SRTM data, as it comes, is only 90. There's only 190 meters, so its accuracy is not very good. Because I've loaded that DEM now, you can see it jump from 7 to 5 meters as it's falling off the side of that building there. So that's the first step. We can confirm that the DEM is working. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to change our map source to GDAL custom. As we did before, we set the custom GDAL image, so I'm going to change to that. Oh, and I've zoomed back to home automatically, so I'm going to go back to over to here. There's our imagery loaded into Mission Planner. I'm just going to set my home here as well so we don't jump away again. And so now we've got our custom GeoTIFF for, also we've got our custom photo for the map. So if I zoom right in here, might take a little while to load because I haven't these tiles. So as I move it from here to here, so we jump from 7 to 5 meters. Now it looks like there might actually be a little bit of an alignment issue here, but it might actually be the fact that the way this photo has been taken, that's on a lean. So the actual corner of the building is back here. So according to me, the corner of the building is about there. So at ground level, it must be about there. Jumps from 5 to 7 meters. So another way to visualize this is there's another keyboard shortcut for Control W. And using Control W, we can turn on terrain. So using terrain, we can visualize that height data. I zoom right out, as you can see. So all of these heights around here are based on SRTM data. But as we get into where I loaded the DEM, you can see that height difference. So like out the front of the property, you can see the trees out the front of the property. So we can see that the trees here are 9, and then down on the ground here we're at about 3.9 meters. So there's the DEM is doing its job. You can see that the building DEM, you can see the nice edge of the buildings there against the DEM. Oh, there's obviously a very big tree just there, and you can see where all the and other things like that. So it's a good way of checking the DEM is loaded, and it actually looks pretty accurate, which to me it does. Like in a little bit of a shift in the DEM there versus the ortho photo. I did process this data in low quality though, so it's not too big, but it's not the best quality. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Control W again and turn terrain off, and we're back to the normal with our custom imagery loaded. So that gives a fairly big overview how Mission Planner can be used, and how the data you capture can be put back into Mission Planner to make planning better in the future. This situation, the Google Earth data looks pretty good from the image we actually captured. You can see the paddocks, you can see the buildings, and you can see the way they actually join up to the Google Earth data quite well, which can be used for planning high quality things. Like this is a class example of where I showed you the spiral pattern lawnmower to mow this front area here. It would be a perfect candidate for that after. So fly it with a quadcopter or a drone to start with to get a high quality map, and put it on a rover to actually lawn mow this area or something similar to that. So that pretty much covers the stuff that you would need to do a nice aerial mission. So I suppose is the questions now. So that's the basic rundown of how to do that. Are there any questions from anyone?
Yeah. I think it's Mr. Michael.
No questions at this point?
Yeah.
Yep.
This was really interesting. You told us.
Yeah.
Everything. When we first started Mission Planner, we took around 10 days to figure out to use it and everything, connecting with the Pixar. That was a really challenging task.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of other features in Mission Planner as well, which I haven't touched on. But that for the mission planning and survey missions and mapping missions. So what I showed you is a good case example of a mapping mission. This map is actually done with a 3DR Solo back in February. I just have the data for it, and it's convenient to use as an example because I have everything I need to show exactly use it and how to use it for both elevation data and also for aerial photography. So it does a lot of stuff, and using and everything else, there's definitely a lot of possibilities. It's really about using it to the best of your advantage and knowing how to use the tools to make use of your advantage. So yeah. it's good.
Yeah, this was quite informative and educative too
Yes.
to the webinar.
Yep.
This was really interesting.
Yep.
So, on the basis of mission planner for cargo delivery,
What was that? Sorry.
like, what are the challenges of mission planner for using it in cargo delivery using drones?
Some of the challenges. I don't think there are any very big challenges. It's really a case of how you want to use it. So, like, there's a few things like, they're not really mapping related stuffs. Mapping, there's obviously some pretty good workflows for mapping at the moment with different GPSs and some different there's a lot of technology put into around surveying and mapping. The new emerging stuff is around swarming and other things like that. So swarming is definitely a place that's getting more interesting, and also a lot of live video feeds for cinematography and things like that, where there's a lot of unseen complexities. Like photography, obviously you've got cameras moving in a specific way. You want it very, very smooth and non-jerky. So it's a different kind of environment to survey and mapping. So, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of challenges. And yeah, so other challenges are things like going platform, like going to Android and things like this as well. So, like, I'll just quickly demo this as well, just because it's being worked on at the moment. So as you can see, here's an Android, and so this is a copy of Mission Planner running on Android. So this is very early at the moment. It's a bit of an alpha release, but it is Mission Planner running on Android. So if you look at these two pictures compared side to side, you'll notice that they are the same, because they are the same. So Action tab, everything you see on the full version, probably the biggest difference is screen real estate. So it's a lot smaller. So, but everything you see on the big one is available on the little one. So everything I showed you with survey grids, so I'm just going to zoom in here. I'll zoom out a bit. So everything you saw I showed you with survey grids a second ago. This is still buggy, I will say that at the moment. So like if I go to auto waypoint, the same as in the full one, I go to survey grid, complains about a file. That's a bug at the moment. But everything you want to do is basically the same. So you can control the footprint, you can control everything you want to do, just as you did with the full version of Mission Planner. There are still quite a few bugs. It's not released to the public yet. But yeah, so there's something not very much.
Yeah. Three models of a surveying area.
So using, it depends on what you mean by 3D models. Obviously, if you're going to be building a 3D model, Mission Planner, like you could take photos to build a 3D model. Say you wanted to survey a water tower or a building. That's where you'd use the things like the face map and other things like that. It really depends on exactly what you wanted to do, because no matter what you do, Mission Planner is the tool for getting the drone to do what you need it to do. If you wanted to build a model, obviously you'd have to use Metashape Pro or some other 3D package to create that. Currently, Mission Planner can't do display 3D models. It does have a small 3D interface, but it's not really designed for doing exactly that at this. If I just share it quickly again, and do is I'm just going to quickly start the simulator again in a different location. So this is actually probably a good test. So we've got our custom imagery here. We've got the starting up. Once we connect to that, so there is one other feature that I've been testing as well, along with the Android thing, is this is in Control F. And in Control F, there's a thing called 3D Map. So I'm not quite sure how good this is going to work via screen sharing. So this is 3D Map. So using 3D Map, it's actually like a 3D render of the world. So let's wait for the EKF error to go away first, and then I can arm and take off. So it went away, just armed, take off to 10 meters. So we've just taken off, and we can fly around this location here in 3D. Here is, so as you can see here, because we're using a 3D view, and the DEM isn't actually there. Obviously, you saw here we have a centimeter level accurate DEM. The problem with loading that into a 3D view is it uses a lot of CPU, and there's still obviously some bugs with the DEM, this view as well at the moment. So it's very early stages, but it is available. It does, but it really depends on what you want to do with it. But yeah, currently there's no way to show a 3D model in here. So if you wanted to put a building in here or something like that, current way to do that. But it's potentially possible in the future. The problem here is this CPU to do this, where you've got static models. It's a little bit easier, but there's a fair bit of CPU usage required to do this. And a lot of people using Mission Planner out in the field, they don't have very high-grade laptops doing it, so it doesn't really, there's no, because the level and quality of the CPU in the device doing it isn't high enough to render 3D scenes in real time with a resolution for the ground. So it's not the best idea really. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, that answered my question. Thanks for the answering.
Not a problem.
So I think we can end our session today. Again for taking your time in this very quick period.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay, Mr. Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll close it.